I'm so nervous. Okay, we're live. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Universal Love Law. Today, I have a great guest here, Jalil. I'll let him introduce himself and then maybe we'll jump right on in with the topic that we have for you guys today, okay? So, whenever you're ready, Jalil, you can introduce yourself to the people if you'd like.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. Thank you for making it. So happy I can be here. As my said, my name is Jalil, and we met around last year, like a couple months ago. And she did a chart interpretation for me, and we kind of just connected on that level. And then she just came up with this idea to eventually have this kind of live discussion about religion versus spirituality, and I thought it was a great idea. I didn't, back down from it. Even though this is my first time doing something like this, a little nervous, but hey, I said, might as well go for it. It's just a discussion that we should always be having. Either way, we weren't the first ones to have a discussion, and we shouldn't be the last ones either. So
Oh, I
I'm excited
love that.
to be here.
That's so true. Yes. Awesome. Well, so we've been kind of developing some talking points for the people so that we can stay on topic and that we can really get our concerns or our theories kind of out to the people clearly, right? So, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of spirituality, pros and cons of religion, and just throw in some extra information that we just feel on our heart, and it's not biased. Let's give that disclaimer first and foremost. This video is not to attack spiritual people or attack religious people. It's more so a dialogue and an opportunity for us to just, um, you know, express, what we're thinking and feeling. Because we are moving into this new age, and dialogue age. Aquarius is all about communication. So we're going to bring up our ideas on how the pros and cons will affect the people, and so that we can make a clear, conscious decision when it comes to moving forward, right? So you don't have to take any of our information as ultimate truth. Just keep what works for you, and then leave the rest. So my computer's still. Oh, it finally turned on. So as I gather my notes, I'm not sure if Jalil, you want to kind of start from the order in which and I could just jump in and I'll meet you where and when I can find when I pull up the notes. But I believe we're going to start with the religion, right? And
Yeah.
then yes. So if you'd like to start with the first talking point, and then we can just piggyback. So do you want to kind
Okay.
of, yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. And I'll kind of just bring up some of the points that I wrote down, and then you can go over yours because I don't want to like overstep. But
Oh, you're good. This is
and
our world. We created it.
just a caveat too, I do have a 2-month-old, so if you hear some crying or anything, that's
Yeah.
in the background. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, let's get started here. First up, we have pros of religion. So, some pros of religion that we kind of agreed on and experienced ourselves. I would have to say it does foster a sense of community, like outside of your family and like close friends. I know personally growing up, I started going to church before I could even talk. You know what I mean? So I was raised in the church and went to church religiously, sometimes twice a week, up until I went to college and started experiencing life on my own. But it definitely, and I still hold on to those ties to this day. Like everyone that I've met in the church, like we're still really close. And they check on me, I check on them, and it does kind of help foster that sense of community outside of like your family and friends. As I said, um, it's always been like a reminder as well to love yourself, which does entail, having some self discipline. So I think that's one of the teachings that stuck with me from going to church every Sunday. Just realizing that sometimes things you don't want to do are things you need to do, and that shows that there is some love that you're expressing towards yourself as well. Um, then what else did I write down? Okay, yeah, and also an invitation. So I wrote here an invitation to start doing the work to create the life you deserve. So I'm a firm believer, and I think I just posted this on my Instagram yesterday that we were created to create. So
Hmm.
creator and his creation also has the ability to create. So I think that we can apply that to our lives, um, by saying, we should be able to cultivate, relationships and just create the life that we deserve. And yeah, pretty
And
much.
that's true for religion, definitely. Not only in Christianity, but in the Islam and the Jews,
Hmm.
and even Buddhism, Hinduism. Yeah, it does speak to having that power.
Right.
These are
Yeah.
the pros for organized religion, too.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that kind of went into my other point too, just a reminder that we come from a creator. And lastly,
Mhm.
um, I just wanted to say that it's also like a starting point for believing in like a higher power for a lot of
Mhm.
people, because religion is just, that's pretty much the big picture about
That's
religion.
right.
Yeah.
Monotheistic. So
Hmm.
that's the belief in one God.
Hmm. Exactly.
Um, and so this is awesome. I love how I'm pretty sure a lot of people that, hi guys, I see your comments too.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
pretty sure. Yeah, can you see the comments? I'm not sure if you can. But
I see them now.
yeah, yeah. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So when it comes to religion, we talk about the Abrahamic religion, right? These are pantheons that were created about 6,000 years ago.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that came together to create these religions, right? The Knights of Templar, the Pope. We have all these different groups that created this religion through the text. And the text, there's always a Messiah, right? The
Yeah.
Jesus, and even in the Quran, there's always the one that will die for the sins, or the sins of man, and then um, there's so many teachings in the Bible that will help you to discipline yourself. It fosters the relation and community, right? Like you said, people congregate and they come together with a serving and worshiping of that creator of all. So
Hmm.
there's so many positive aspects to organized religion
Hmm.
that were created, I think, to make it make sense. We're not going to really follow this book or these teachings if it doesn't have or foster those type of opportunities, right? Which is the meeting with others, like-minded people, congregation. It becomes traditional and it becomes your culture, right? When we practice things ritualistically, eventually they become our traditions, and then it becomes a culture. And over a long period of time, after each generation, it will become a culture that's so influenced by the bringing forth indoctrinating of this tags and beliefs and customs that we will die for our beliefs, right? It becomes one of those things where anyone against it will become an enemy, and it's us against everyone, right? And so I think that people are beginning to become bombarded with all the new age talk, right? Which is nothing new under the sun. This information is ancient. All the things that are coming and being revealed to us, right? So we're at a time where we're in our individual selves questioning all the beliefs or all of the practice that comes to organized religion. So I think this is a great time to kind of move towards the con. And remember, we're being respectful here because I was born and baptized as a Christian, That's a lot of my culture. Like first Sundays, we have, what we do, we would have our dinner, like not like a dinner after church, and we all bonded and connected. And I have friends, like I have a family church,
Mhm.
so I'm not being disrespectful at all. So but I am very spiritual. So
Mhm.
I do understand the dark side of religion and why it was kind of created. But I'm gonna bring forth my knowledge very respectfully, just so people know. But yeah, do you want to usher us into the cons, or do we have any more pros that we may have not touched bases on?
Um, I think you pretty much hit everything. Yeah,
Hmm.
pretty much brings the souls closer to God. Kind of
Yes.
gives people the fundamental teachings of spirituality, and just being able to
Hmm.
find that balance of like the meaning of life, because
Mm.
humans have been on the discovery of that since
Yes.
we've been able to think. So, um, I think yeah, you pretty much hit that there, and then I like how you um were bringing up being respectful, because it's definitely something that we both experienced before, and it's just this dialogue is just to kind of be open about our experiences and what we feel spiritually. Um,
Yeah.
and so like there will be cons of religion,
Yeah.
just like there is
There will
light.
be cons of spirituality. Sorry to
Exactly.
cut you off.
Yeah. So I mean, no,
Yeah.
you're right. Like there's light and dark within everything aspect.
Polarity.
So I
These
think
go into the universal laws that we're going to touch that are
yes.
more spiritual.
Hmm.
Yes.
And so like
Um,
the cons of religion, if we can go into that, like
all
basically,
righty.
um, we do know, well, at least for me, like from experience and research, like it does have a sort of a control over the masses. I think this is sort of your notes here as well. Like it does instill fear as well. With the concept of heaven and hell, um,
Hmm.
which is like something that's huge in religion, especially Christianity. That's the basis of why a lot of people um, follow the book of the Bible as well. They're trying to get to the kingdom of God. They want to make sure that they're doing everything right in order to
Mm.
um, see that day. You know what I mean? So another one here. It does undermine, sort of like the potential of our human condition. So I remember writing this, and I wanted to just add in here. So the power we have as creators has been suppressed and misunderstood for centuries.
Mm.
Due to organized religion, because we kind of our spiritual identity has taken a back seat, so to speak, when it comes to religion. Um, this sort of like this extra hurdle that we have to leap over in order to reach our full potential, because we
Yes.
know of the creator, but how do we actually authentically connect to that creator? You know what I mean? So
Yes. I love that.
definitely a con there. And I think lastly, um, I think you wrote this one. It says comparing spiritual belief systems, one wrong over the other. Did you want to expand on that or any of these other points here?
I'm like, why did I put that? No.
I don't remember writing that one.
Right. Yeah. So comparing, can you read that one more time? You said
Yeah,
comparing.
yeah, comparing spiritual belief systems, one wrong over the other. You might have wrote that while I was like talking about one of these other
Oh, we
points.
were. I was, yeah.
Mm.
So one wrong over the other.
Yeah.
I'm just writing down everything you're saying because for some reason my computer is not working right.
Oh, it's not working.
No, and I'm like, well, we are, in that pre-shadow kind of ending of the Mercury retrograde. This is just, inevitable. But yeah, so I would assume that we were in discussion of discussing the cons. And I
Mhm.
believe maybe when I was saying comparing spiritual one wrong over the other is the division. I think we were talking about how separate we are and how we all can have our own individual backgrounds, beliefs, and customs and systems.
Mhm.
But the thing about religion, organized religion, it really makes you look at people who are spiritual as ops, like the opposition, like they're the ones who are going to bring Satan and all this negative energy in.
Mhm.
And that goes to the fear. So I think that, when if you tell someone that's very religious that you're spiritual, that is like a trigger for them. They can't
Mhm.
even work with you or can't even connect with you because you might, that's automatically evil, right? But that's not ultimate truth. Um, and so I think that that's something to consider when it comes to sometimes how religious people are so vain in their belief to where they don't accept anyone outside of it and they don't accept anything, even if it is the truth, like in from
Right.
their own Bible, right?
Historical fact.
Yeah, even if it's in the Bible and it shows you right there, black and white, they'll reword the Bible
Mhm.
just for their own validation. And that kind of goes into that saying of what is that word? Um, oh, I can't think of it, but it's kind of like defined as people who are so brainwashed. It's kind of not, it's not Stockholm syndrome, it's a word. Can't think of it.
Cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive, yes.
Mhm.
Thank you. And it's where the truth will be right in their face,
Mhm.
right? But they don't want to allow the truth in because of their belief. They're so strong to their belief.
Yeah.
Even if you're agreeing with them, if they're at that point of anger, that cognitive dissonance is going to keep them
Yeah.
separate. And
Right.
spiritual people too. But we'll get
That's.
to the cons of spiritual people as well.
Mhm.
Um,
I like
Definitely.
that you brought that up though, because I mean the prime example of that would be slave owners. How would they be able to justify what they're doing if they are so-called Christians? So they
Oh,
have
and they justify it with the Bible. That's
with
how
the Bible.
manipulative.
That's
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance. You know what I mean? They have these conflicting beliefs that
Hmm.
we're all created equal and we're all sons of God or whatever. But how are you not actually operating in that mindset? You know what I mean? And you also brought up the point about, comparing spiritual belief systems, and they're just ignoring, simple facts that there is a universal message even across our religions, if you think about it.
Mm,
If you go back further enough, there is similarities and connections that you can make with all type of religions, no matter when they came down the line, because they're all man-made, and so they stem from somewhere. So I think that there is a universal message that it should be told. It's just getting lost in these different um, religions that we have today.
right. I agree. And I think that the universal message is that we all are creators, like you said, and that there are duality. Like these are universal, right? These bounce around through all religions and pantheons and oral traditions. There's always good and dark, that light and dark, right? That just speaks of polarity. Um, I have a lot of nieces and nephews here, and my kids, because my sister's in labor, so I think they're coming to my door. I told them don't come here. Let me tell them to go to their grandmother's. I'm so sorry,
Okay.
guys. You guys, no, wait. Listen, I told you guys to go to. I'm on the live. Go to grandma's house if you need anything. Okay. Where's your brother? And where's your brothers? Okay. Love you guys. Be safe. Bye. Go to grandma. Love you. Oh my God. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, all my nieces and nephews are here. My sister has 6 kids, and then my two, and because she's in labor, so and I live
Congrats.
by my mom. She has her house right there, so Yeah, we're kind of, all together, but I apologize for that, guys, and to you, Jalil. But yeah, we were exactly using it for their own advantage. Thank you, Monique.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when we discuss the universal language that we see, we know there's polarity, there's light versus dark. There's always going to be that. But it looks different when you look at it from a religious background versus a spiritual background, right? You look at it from a religious background and you'll see that, polarity is God or good, righteous, and Satan, the
Mm-hmm.
devil, evil, Lucifer, right? And so the way that a person can misuse religion is by demonizing everything,
Mm-hmm.
pointing the finger at it and just saying it's evil and wrong. And
Yeah.
spirituality teaches you duality in more complex, in a more metaphysical way, where you're able to
Mm-hmm.
understand polarities and the reason for it, being a purpose for our soul's evolution. You only understand what happiness is if you have sadness, right? And I think true religious pastors that are spiritual and divinely created, and the only route they had was the church. So they utilized that to the best of their ability. They tap into that spirituality, and their message is that universal message, like you said. And it will always really help people. They'll go home and feel fed. But a lot of churches nowadays, people are just not going home feeling fed. They're just, crying, shouting, singing, going
Mm-hmm.
home, same problems, no growth, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, did you want to add anything to that before we move into the spiritual pros and
Uh,
cons?
yeah, because we do have one last thing about religion, but before we go into what it was intended for, um, yeah, I just wanted to say back on that last point about like comparing spiritual beliefs. Something that we see a lot in the church is just people kind of comparing their spiritual experiences with others, justifying that through the word, you know, judging people, sorry, and then justifying those judgments through like the word. Well, the Bible says this, Bible says that, and you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing that. And I think that just opens up like a can of worms that we should not be going down that path, because we all have our own struggles. We all have our own lessons to learn. Just because someone made a mistake that you wouldn't make, they probably wouldn't make a mistake that you went out and made either. Like, we can't sit here and compare um, the
Our
way that we
lessons.
operate in our shadow selves, because we all have
Yes,
what we need to do, and we shouldn't be comparing it. And that's kind of like what the cons of religion is. There's just these, a list, like commandments or just little things that are all throughout the Bible that people use as leverage to judge others. And I think that is a con to the spiritual community that you may cultivate. But obviously, we brought up that as a pro because we're human beings. We seek out connections, and spiritually, those are usually one of our strongest connections. And the dark side of that is, unfortunately, being judged by those very same people that you feel so connected to. So,
that's right. I'm glad that you mentioned the judgmental, like, and we're not just talking about Christianity. We're talking about organized religion. So
mhm,
we're talking about any religion that is in the Abrahamic, monotheistic, patriarchal kind of belief system that was created from a lot of different ancient texts before them. The
mhm,
main ones being the Jews, the Christians, and the Catholics.
mhm,
And the Muslims, right? So we
yeah,
have the Arabic, the Quran. But so when it comes to the judgmental in all of these pantheons, all of these backgrounds, they're very judgmental. There's a right way to go through your hardships, and in reality, there's no fucking right way. Excuse my French, to go through anything. um, it's broad for a reason. We're all unique in our own journeys, like you
mhm.
said. But if you're doing bad, you will be shunned, you will be talked about, you will be ridiculed. Now, when it's a business, I'm not sure if we are going to discuss the organized.
Yeah, That's the
Yeah,
next
okay.
what it was
I don't
intended
want to
for
spoil
our
it,
next
but
point.
I feel like in a degree to it is when you coming in, just to add to the judgment, when you're coming into the church realm, you feel invited because it is a family. It gives off the vibe as a family because it is, because everything operates family oriented, right? We
Yeah.
meet regularly. We discuss things that are reality based, what we go through, and we feel good about, experiencing and getting through the hard times. And we praise, we, use music, we incorporate all the creativity, creativeness in life. And it's organized. So there's an agenda, there's a program. This is what we do at this time, that time, right? Of this Sunday of the month, right? So it's very easy to get involved in it and bring forth structure in our world, people that are all balanced, But
Hmm.
the judgment comes in when you first come in, you share your testimony. They love it. They want the worst people, right? I was
Hmm.
on drugs, or I was a prostitute, or I was a crackhead.
Hmm.
They want those people and they put you in a position in the church, right? Okay, we need you to play the instruments, or we need some ushers. So they
Hmm.
give you a role and a meaning. They add meaning to your life, all the while helping you get closer to God, or helping you to understand how a relationship can be with God, but it's all facilitated, right? And
Hmm.
so I think that that kind of goes in the pros, but it could be a con because the moment you're not donating enough in church, you're getting judged. The moment your kids are coming to church with clothes that are not, you know, nice or decent or ironed, you're getting judged. The
Hmm.
moment you reach out and ask for help from someone in the church, the whole church knows about it and you're
Hmm.
being judged. So I feel like a lot of people that's in the religions community, judgment is a major. It's like it's one thing that everyone's taught not to do.
Hmm.
Don't judge others. That's wrong. Turn the other cheek, which is that's another thing that I don't agree with. Spirituality teaches you to defend in a way, different. But yeah, the judgment, I felt that. I felt being the judged one because my grandma has a whole bunch of grandkids. And we sometimes some of us have run in our little, leg stockings or whatever. And that was big. Like my grandma would go to Payless just to get some new shoes for one of us. If that's how paranoid she was about being judged,
Hmm.
And so it's a lot of judgment in that realm, definitely. As it
Yeah.
is in the spiritual realm, we're just talking about it. But yeah, you want to do you want to bring up the last talking point for religion, and we can move into spirituality?
Yeah. So, lastly, we did want to just touch on like what religion was intended for. So I think it's kind of obvious, or if not, everyone can kind of see the financial impact religion has had on not just America, but I mean the world. Like it's one of the biggest businesses known out there. These pastors, these congregations, they make a lot of money. Um, and I think that once you corporize, I don't even know if that's a word, but once something turns into like a corporation, there is I don't know, like when you mix that with such an authentic practice such as um spirituality or religion, you know what I mean? Like it just becomes something the message gets lost, you know what I mean? And people start seeing like the true colors behind the intention of, you know, what they're going to these Sunday services for, or revivals, or like church twice a week. You know what I mean? Like they end up finding ways to make more money. Um, and another thing that I got from Dr. Ray Hagen's, I don't know if anyone have listened to him, but I think you guys really should. He um, was a pastor, Pentecostal pastor for over 30 years, and then he kind of came into his own awakening, but not after, you know, defending his religious beliefs because he was questioned one day and was kind of like, defending, as the Bible teaches you to defend, what you believe in. He did that for over a span of a year until he came into information that contradicted, information that was in the Bible, from historical facts. So I just want to read this quote that he have here because I think he made a good point about, those who control the printed page control the thinking of the age. Um, I think that when you take a step back and look at um, just everything that we're being taught and how it came about, you know what I mean? Um, there has to be some way that this information was first created. And so he talked about the Dark Ages and how the world was put into 1,000 year suppression. And basically, the first Bible that was created after that 1,000 year suppression was the Gutenberg Bible. And it just really makes you think about like the honesty and intention behind the Bible itself. We already talked about how, there's, well, prior to the live, how there's like missing books of the Bible and how that can even get you learning more about like the truth behind, some of the messages that are being put out there. Because why were these left out, you know what I mean, so to speak. So what religion was intended for, we could say multiple things. Of course, we know it's become one of the biggest businesses out there. And of course, um, as long as as long as they can control what the message is saying in the Bible, then they can control the thinking of the age. And so I think that is really what the age of Pisces was all about. People were born into just um, information that they accepted as truth. They didn't challenge it. They didn't really think deeper about it. They were just in the know of it, and they just followed the fish. How the fish.
Yes.
They
I
just followed.
love how, Christian, they use the fish
Mhm.
as the symbol. So age of Pisces. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
exactly.
um,
And just one last point
no,
about
yeah, keep going,
Aquarius,
please.
because I feel like the reason why this conversation is coming up again, because like I said, we weren't the first ones to talk about religion versus spirituality, and we certainly won't be the last. But I think that the reason why this is becoming more of a topic now that I've noticed is because a lot of people in our generation are just wired differently. You know what I mean? From our ancestors, like we just want to like challenge information that we're being told, and we're just not really accepting anything at face value. We have literally the information at our hands. This is Age of Aquarius in a nutshell, so to speak. Like we can just look up something and find the truth, and then like if that contradicts what we've been like so blindly accepting or told, then we're going to have questions. We're going to want to know the truth. We don't want to feel lied to. We want to always, as humans, understand this human condition and what we've been born into. Um, so I think that is definitely some intentions for religion.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned to question and challenge these previous ideologies that have been imposed on us, enforced on us to believe as ultimate truth, because we are a new breed of individuals and we're incarnated here with a rebel spirit,
Hmm.
intellectual rebels, right? Where we're like, no, that don't sound right. Something ain't right. And
Yeah.
I think in the age of Aquarius, we're very, that will get into the cons of spirituality, but
Hmm.
we really need to be careful who we follow. Okay, shout out to Dolo. Thank you for mentioning Dolo. He is someone that is definitely been influential to me on my journey, but at the same time, I don't agree with everything he says, but I would never, challenge him on his platform or debate with him because he's entitled to his own belief. And
Mhm.
that's why I say, but I love what he does, though. Don't get me wrong. That's like really like a big brother figure spiritually, right?
Mhm.
But I would say that we have to have a level of taking what works for us and leaving the things that don't. I would prefer a person that can, acknowledge that they don't agree with everything a person says, than to agree with everything a person says. Because I can't trust a person that believes everything a person says and does.
Mhm.
Because, and it's a very few, these are very wise, mature, they have to be over a certain age. You're not going to meet, I'm just going to give this disclaimer, you're not going to meet anybody that's under 35, 40 that is going to have that integrity, knowledge, and you know, intelligence, true like and passion for what they do, in with a very genuine disposition that you can agree to damn near 99% of or 90% of what they're saying. You're not going to meet that in a young person because we're discovering, right? We're still in the level of trying to find what works and what doesn't, right? And so yeah, just having discernment, challenging and questioning, knowing that like big pharma brings big business, so does the church. You know, the church is a business, and it's actually is a tax business. Like it literally, you don't have to pay any. If you wanted to become an ordained priest and you get your everything you need, open a church, you won't have to pay any taxes on the building. You just have to pay the lights. Other than that, you're generating money from the donation. So when you look at it from a business standpoint, you see how it can become big money because we have in our DNA a desire to worship. Look up Billy Carson, okay, you guys, check him out. He definitely talks about the DNA, ancient Sumerian tablets, ancient emerald tablets, um, the Torah, right? Ancient texts that the Dead Sea Scrolls that has been all plagiarized in the Bible. These are all information taken from, the Ten Commandments was taken from the 42 laws of Ma'at, which is in the Egyptian, Sumerian time, Babylonian times, right?
Mhm.
There was a lot of talk of Babylon in the Bible, right? Very demonized Babylon, right? We got Nature Boy over here saying, let's get out of Babylon, right? Like America's Babylon. And, it was a time where Babylon actually was creating the more ancient texts. And there was a high level of understanding of why we were here, a very open spirituality. It wasn't organized religion. And there was its cons, but um, they followed the ancient Egyptian kind of, I would say, religion, but it was more spiritual because they dealt with universal laws, right? Things that operate on um, the Hermetic laws, right? We go to ancient Kemet. This was all brought into Babylon. Ancient Kemet was an ancient civilization that had a original spiritual system that you could call religion. It was tainted. There's the tree of life here. You probably have seen it in my background, but this is from the Kabbalion, right? We have the tree of life, and there's a lot of different other structures, secret geometrical structures that had infinite knowledge about creation that was brought into Babylon, and then it was distorted. And then we have the Knights of Templar, and we had all these different people come together to create the Bible. These were information taken from ancient texts. So definitely look up Billy Carson. He's definitely going to help people to understand how the timeline. I'm a historian
Mhm.
first, because that gives me my truth. And so Billy Carson is a great man, like, oh my God, I'm so like in awe with the work he does. And he definitely will be able to put a visual timeline on how the Bible was created and everything in between and after to where we are today, Age of Aquarius. So thank you so much for mentioning that. I think we are
Yeah.
pretty much wrapped up with the religion. Now we did discuss the pros, the cons, and the overall bigger picture. We're going to move into spirituality, pros and cons, and it might not be as long as religion because we kind of had to build the foundation, and then we kind of touched certain points as we were discussing the pros and cons and stuff. But yeah, after that, yeah, we're gonna freestyle it because Jalil's very intellectual and very intelligent. As you can see, very articulate as well. So let's jump into, and thank you for facilitating everything with my notes not working. I feel
That's
like the flow perfect. So thank you. So
of course.
let's, and then again, can you mention that name of the person so I can write in the comments for people to look him up?
Yes, Dr. Ray Hagins.
Thank you.
Rayhagins.
All right. Hagins.
Yes.
Awesome. Dr. Ray Higgins and Billy Carson. I'll put him in the comment too. And whenever you're ready, you could definitely bring forth the spiritual pros and cons for us.
Yeah, so we had a few bullet points here. Like she said, it won't be as long since we touched on a few of them. But to start off with pros of spirit or spirituality, it does kind of reinforce what we're introduced to in religion, which is free will. This idea that, we have the will of God, but we're able to kind of freely make decisions that we ultimately, have to um, um, what's the word I'm trying to figure out? We ultimately have to sorry, I'm like blanking out on that word there, but
You're
uh,
fine.
yeah. So I'm gonna move on. So basically, next up is goes how deep the individual is able. So I don't think I wrote that one, so I'm kind of confused on that one. You said, did you
Okay,
say?
you're probably reading my notes if you're getting
Yeah,
confused.
the second
You
one I'm
got
not sure. The first one I understood, but I was like messed up on that word. That we have to like deal with that, like our consequences. That's what I was trying to say. Obviously our choices have consequences. So with free will, we are kind of reminded of that all the time.
it. Is that in the pros?
That is the pros of spirit, reinforcing
Okay.
free will. Yeah.
So we have free will.
Yes. And then you wrote goes how deep the individual is able. Um, and then we also have allows one to integrate all. So like organized religion, basically spirituality being a foundation of religion because it, I would say spirituality came first, but religion was obviously more widespread, and then and then spirituality kind of became the cult practice. You know what I mean? And now it's becoming more of a conversation of truth, and we're starting to realize the simplicity of spirituality, for a lack of better words, because obviously it's complex, but in comparison to religion and how it's taught, you know what I mean? So it's definitely like a foundation of religion, um, spirituality, that is. So you should be able to integrate everything that you kind of learn from religion and simplify it, and that becomes like a spiritual practice for you, basically. So
Mhm. Yeah,
that,
so
that's
what I got was the fact
I don't.
that there's free will, that spirituality teaches us like a basic knowledge, right?
Mhm.
Baby stepping into spirituality, you immediately begin to realize there's free will. And that's a very known um, reality. Whereas in religion, free will is demonized as Your choices have actions that will bring you into a state of hell or heaven, right? So
mm,
it's so one or the other. But in spirituality, free will give you a perspective, and it will open your mind to questioning consequence from a human level, right?
mm,
And you'll begin to question, why was free will even allowed, you
mm,
know? Whereas in religion, you would just get angry with God. Why, God? Why did you let this person take this person from my family, right? Murder. Or, spirituality teaches free will. So you begin to ponder the thought that maybe if we were given free will, that karma comes into play, right?
mm,
And the way that karma plays out can be um, vast, right? Where anything's possible, because in spirituality, we realize that there's endless possibilities and everything you think can be a reality. So, karma can come in the form of, you know, incarnating in a new life where it's hard, or it could come in instant, learning of the lesson, or learning the karma through experiencing the opposite, right? So free will gives us, free range to do what we want and do as thou wilt, right? Those scary word quoted from the very known evil person that runs the music industry. What is his name? Maybe he's a Voldemort and I shouldn't speak his name. Oh, Aleister Crowley. So
mm,
do as thou wilt, right? Jay-Z wore the shirt. He's just speaking of free will. When we demonize people, we give them more power than they even deserve,
mm,
instead of like acknowledging it as universal knowledge, right? So
mm,
that free will brings forth the realization, and it makes you ponder the thought that, karma, it comes with free will, and it's a universal law. So you look at the seven hermetic principles, right? There's the law of rhythm, right? Nothing rests, or the law of polarity. Everything has its opposite. So,
mm,
like I was saying before, you can incarnate in a lifetime where you were very poor, and the things you chose to do to get money, or to, you could have been feeding your, you could have been polluting your community with drugs and all of those things. Well, karma is going to come in a form that is so creative and unique and original for the person that committed that act, which is just free will. And karma will teach the soul and allow the soul to elevate and evolve through the polarity. Now you'll be born as a rich person, but your parents might be on drugs. So you see, uh, the way that spirituality can give you understanding of yourself, and people who are divine, meaning they have clairvoyant gifts or clairaudient gifts, the seers,
mm,
those psychic, they can really help consult people. Like in the church, they do in a different way, but they can help consult people and use those real true gifts to help a person understand why their life is so messed up. It could be past life energies, and we don't discuss past life energies or free will in religion, right? We don't talk about, we talk about free will causing your eternal damned hell, or
mm,
or being where you can go to heaven, where that's the domination and control. Because if we could tell people that if they're good and they follow these rules that we created, right? That
mm,
church and state, the laws that are of the land, going with the laws of the God they create, right? In the Bible, then we can control these people and they will not do wrong because they know what's going to come. And a lot of people in during religion's power uh, were afraid to die when they knew they did wrong, not
mm,
understanding the art, or the old ancient Tibetan, or the ancient Buddhism or Hindu beliefs of reincarnation. Right, you'll come back again. A great movie that I want to let you guys know, I'm going to put in the comments. You want to, okay, this movie has subtitles, okay? So you're going to have to read it and follow along. It talks about having a spiritual lawyer. It talks about reincarnation and the seven gates of hell and the different hells that are created based on certain sins, right? It's
Hmm.
very awesome. But the name, I'm sorry, I'm looking it up really quick because
The
I want
seven. Is it talk about the seven deadly sins?
to kind of, it kind of talks about it. I'm gonna put the let me put the name. Here it is. I'm gonna put the name of the, here it is. Along with the gods, the two worlds. So the sins are the sins that the that let me see. Along with the gods, two worlds, and also the man who fell to earth. This is an awesome one. Gives you some really great
Is that new?
spiritual. You guys.
Is that one new?
So along with the gods, the two worlds came out 2001, right? Awesome movie. Watch that after this. Like if you guys want to do like a little, like you know how they have book clubs, we need to do a movie club. We need to review this
That
movie.
would be fun. Yeah.
Yes, huh? Yeah, this isn't going to be our last time meeting. Jalil's awesome, and I think I really would love for him to create his own YouTube channel. Maybe it will create, you know, a platform for people to really open their minds because you are very intellectual and you're very knowledgeable. And I love that you do real, authentic research. You're not someone who just quotes a person verbatim. You actually go out there and you find out information for yourself.
I do have
So
a question
yeah.
on that movie. The Man Who Fell to Earth. Is that one new?
Oh, that is a show that is new and it's pretty new. It's been out for a while, but it's showed through Showtime. Now, if you want to watch the first, second, and third show from the first season, they do have it free on YouTube. So just look up the male. I believe it's the Man Who Fell to Earth. Um,
Yeah, I've heard of that with
it is
uh,
really good. He has a really great mission and why he's coming here, and it has so many spiritual nuggets in there that kind of validate a lot of the truth in the world of spirituality. True spiritualists, right? Not these
yeah.
people who are we'll talk about in the cons. But yeah, so that kind of touches on free will, how deep a person could go, right?
Hmm.
The pro spirituality is you can go super deep, deeper than what religion will allow you to, because you move
Hmm.
past the confines of heaven and hell. You don't believe life being just you live or you, and then when you die you go to these places. No, you
Right.
understand that there is that this universe is vast,
Hmm.
and even in the Bible they talk about states of reality, like the I just thought of the word uh, purgatory, right, which is a hell state. And this is a real physical place, right? Spirituality teaches of being able to see under the veil. Seeing under the veil is just being able to see in dimensions where physical vessels are not needed
Hmm.
for the spirits to wreak havoc or to protect or to congregate, because we're born with a guardian angel, an angel, and a demon. We have all of these energies that have been watching us since we were born. They and some people can see these energies when the veil's thin or when they have certain gifts, right? That clairvoyance or their clairaudience, where they can hear, right? I used to always hear my name being called really loud, like Maisha, and I used to be like, "What? Like, am I tripping?" But I didn't know that was spirit talking to me, right? Um, yeah,
But there's
or
one you can smell too.
clairsentient. I was just gonna say that. You read my mind. So you can, like, one time I smelled cigarettes really strong and alcohol. And it was right before I went to my grandmother's house and my drunk uncle was there. And it was like I felt his spirit even before I even got there, right? But
Hmm.
clairsentient people, you might be clairsentient if you are very specific about who cooks your food, if you're like someone who smells the food, you might have a gift of clairsentience because you could smell energy.
Mm-hmm.
So a person, you could really sense like if that food's gonna make you sick just by the smell. My cousin, he has that Julius Juju. He is so clairsentient. I always tell him because his nose, he's like the little hound dog. Like he knows. Like we'll walk into a restaurant and he like, I'm not eating here. Like right away. And I would not pick up on that, right? I pick up on
Mm-hmm.
energy and I can see beneath the veil. I'm clair audient, right? And clairvoyant. But
Mm-hmm.
he's clairsentient. So he gets whiffs. Um, and you might pick up whiffs of old scent smells like from your great aunt or great uncle, grandpa, someone that, was an ancestor or something now. So I think it's spirituality kind of opens you to really develop those gifts that we were given and that really help us to understand our purpose here, right? Because your gifts are your purpose. And so it takes you deep and then it integrates all forms of religion, pantheons. I study the Christian theology of angels and demons. I understand the fallen angels, the 27 angels, the fallen angels, Solomon's demons, right? Solomon's temple. We know about Solomon's temple from the Bible. And Solomon was a king who reigned over a certain time period. And he had 70 something demons that he had at will that did all his bidding and did anything right for him. And it's an old saying goes that when Solomon died, he died with like standing up. So the demons thought he was still alive because he was a very powerful sorcerer. And he really pushed the, Christian Catholic theology, right? So I love to study things that, are scary because it helps me to understand. And spirituality teaches that the demons are just fallen angels, and there's a higher order and a ranking, right? There's those high level fallen angels, which are daemons, and they have authority over this third dimension realm, the earth realm, and that they were given the right to, because as above, so below. Like we have court, law, right? Crime, the judge, the lawyer, the defense,
Mm-hmm.
the movie I was talking about, the along with the gods of two worlds, it shows you the spiritual lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Double Pilot Man always spoke about a spiritual lawyer. So, as above, so below. Everything we're doing here is merely a reflection of what's happening in the cosmos on a greater scheme, like a greater level.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we could kind of feel when something's bad going to happen before it happens, because it's already playing out in a different realm where it's a dimension where it's like happening right now, but it's unseen. It's in the non-physical, right? So you can be in tune with that. You can be in tune with your higher self. You can be in tune with the energies outside of yourself from your past, present, future, like what you feel is coming or what you retrospectively look back and review, right? Um, but you integrate all spiritual backgrounds, right? In spirituality, you're forever a student because you begin to study all religions, all pantheons, all cosmologies, all systems, all oral tales, right? All creation stories. You become a historian. You become a scientist, right? You begin to cling towards the elements: water, fire, earth, air. These are taught in, the school of astrology, but in the school of hoodoo or voodoo, ancestry from across the waters, or the root workers from the natives of the land here in Americas worked with the elements, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's bringing in science, math, right? Math is knowing how much to put in, how much you'll get out. It deals with the alchemy, right? So being in tune with measurement, right? Everything can be measured, right? Your good dues. your good dues. It's if you are living hell on earth, it's a lesson and a reason for it, right? You could have a shitty job. You might not have your kids. You might have not that much money you're making, all these bills piling up. But guess what? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. If you're doing everything for your life to get better, your life will get better
Mhm.
because it matters about what you're putting in realistically. And a lot of people, that's why I watch people that are crying about their life being all turned up. I'm like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
How are you causing this? Because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. If you are keep seeing these patterns,
Yeah.
what do you expect? And like they say,
Accountability.
I'm sorry, Jalil, you go.
I was just saying accountability sounds like what you're trying to
Gotta
say.
be accountable. You gotta be, and spirituality will teach you to be accountable. You can't blame no devil outside of you.
Hmm.
Can't blame anything or anyone outside of you. It's going to bring you to your ultimate truth and see that you are the creator of your reality.
And at
Literally.
that point is when we start to feel more powerful and more connected to spirit because we're no longer relying on an out a source of power outside of ourselves. It's
Exactly.
always been dormant within us, and so it's just about tapping into that and realizing that you know a lot of times the situations that we find ourselves in, we have some sort of accountability to take on that, and we should be able to take life by the horns and make something out of it.
That's
My
right. Your
Angelou
Leo's
always
coming out.
I know, right? Maya Angelou, there's a quote by her. She said, "You can't go through life with two like catcher's mitts on. You got to be able to throw something back.
That's right.
Just the catching feelings all the time, or playing the victim about every
I
situation.
love that.
You got to be able to actually, defend yourself or attack, or just be ready to attack life at a different angle. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Mm. Or approach life at a different angle. So.
That's right. There's another saying, um, you can't see new results by doing the same things or something like that.
Mhm.
In order to see new results, you have to take different actions because whatever you're doing is creating this outcome that you're not liking. So you have to eventually see, I'm the problem. My
Right.
routines are the problem. My rituals are the problem. What I'm used to doing. And just to give a little bit of support to those who are on the path of trying to change things, if you have a bad habit or anything, it takes 21 days for a habit to completely be dismantled. Now, when you're talking about hardcore drugs, that's another that's another video. I could talk about that. I had a lot of people who did drugs in my family, so I had
Mhm.
to learn about that. But
Yeah,
seven
and
days,
then there's the whole thing about America, how we treat people with addiction as well. That's definitely needs to change too. So
we need to
it's
change
a
that.
long process. You know what I mean? But sorry,
We
I
talked
spoke.
about big pharma earlier. I mentioned that,
Mhm.
right? And how it's like people go to, these therapists or these doctors to get help, and guess what? They're giving prescriptions. Now they have their same problem and addicted to something
And
more.
new like side effects to deal with at this point. So like
New
they,
side effects from the drugs, right?
yeah.
Um, and religion could be a drug, spirituality could be a drug, and we're going to talk about the cons. But overall, it helps you to integrate all backgrounds is
Hmm.
where I was getting. But thank you.
Exactly.
Let's jump into the cons. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about this because I'm a spiritual teacher, so I want to clear things up and I want to, condemn those who are doing this wrong. But yeah.
Okay. I'll actually go ahead and start because I think your point is first, and then I'll jump in after that. You have put down.
Okay. Do you mind reading it out loud because I don't have my computer working?
Yeah, that's fine. So you have here opens Pandora's box.
Oh yeah.
So come
So
spirituality.
okay. So definitely it opens up when you dibble and dabble in the world of spirituality, you have to be a realist You have to know yourself. Don't be no person that wants to know all these secrets, because you could drive yourself crazy learning about um, the duality of spirituality. Spirituality teaches dark and light. So you can learn about dark teachings under the understanding that you're spiritual, and mess around and get into something where you have attached a whole spirit to you, or you thought this group of spiritualists were so cool, but they were really crazy ass cult people who like to make do magic and see what they could do, see how powerful they are working with spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So when you enter in spirituality, you have to be a lone wolf. All the answers you need are inside of you. Anybody teaching you to follow me, I know the way, that's when it becomes cult like.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I have a platform where we discuss spirituality, metaphysics, astrology, numerology, right? But I'm never going to tell you just learn from me. No, it's other people, and you have information inside of yourself. So it's
Exactly.
just important to be mindful. Did you want to add to opening Pandora's box?
Yeah, I think what you touched on there is really good because a lot of people just need to come into the realization that, you know, your spiritual experience is going to be unique to you. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I can personally speak from experience. When I always thought about um, hearing God talk to me, like I always heard that in church, like, oh, did you hear God talk to you? Or did you hear the voice of God? And like, I'm always wondering, like, well, what is that like? Like, how do I
How do
know
I know?
they when they're talking to me? And so one day I was just going through it spiritually, and um, it was just a thought, I think, from my higher self that came down to kind of like
Mhm.
just
Wow.
simplify what I was going through, and just I don't know, it just kind of felt like um a parental figure or some kind of just um nurturer just talking to me, and it was my own voice. You know what I mean? I was like, I called my mom right up. I was like, I think I understand now the concept of God talking to me. I'm like, He's within me. He is me. He is the the light side of myself that wants to see me win and wants me to understand truth and live truthfully. And um that just kind of started kind of like, and I was in college at this time where I was already not going to church as much, and so I think it was kind of time for me to be attacked spiritually, so to speak. But I was coming into that kind of understanding of my own spiritual journey, and I think that was a good starting point. First, realizing how to recognize the voice that is going to be the one to listen to. And I think that you touched on that with like the opening of Pandora's box. You can always be listening to those people around you, and following every single spiritual practice that they're doing. You have to kind of go within and listen to yourself, and you know what the truth sounds like. You know what
That's right.
how to operate, out of your light self. You just have to connect to it. And so,
Yes. That's
yeah.
called having spiritual discernment.
Mm,
And you heard it loud and clear. And a lot of people don't, especially young people. They're very vulnerable, right, to being like pulled into a whole new learning lesson. There, everything happens for a reason, but it's no way you won't catch me involved in any cult like type of group, because it's too much energy. Like, and I'm a lone wolf. I operate in solitude like a Buddhist monk, and I'm okay with that, because I know my journey here is for me to go through on my own. Nobody can feel everything I feel. We can relate on some things, but I'm okay with the lonely road, because there will be people that come along the way for a season or a reason, but and I appreciate and honor that time, but I'm not expecting it forever. So
mhm,
opening Pandora's box will teach you that, like, you only study things when you're really ready. If you're feeling fear, don't study it. Put it down. It will come back if you already felt it on your heart. Like me, studying demonology and things. I'm not studying it to worship any demon or to work with any demon, but I want to know what's out there, right?
Mhm.
So that I can identify it from the characteristics. And as long as I can identify a spirit from the character, I'll be able to call it out like, oh, I know who you are. So no
Mhm.
longer do they have authority over me because I'm privy to them. We're peers, right? I don't want to fight anything spiritually. I'm a human in the end of the day, even though I have a soul. There
Mhm.
are non physical beings that are way more powerful than us. So when we get in spirituality, we begin to feel like power, superpowers, and like
Mhm.
heroes, superheroes, and we dibble and dabble in things that we're not ready for. So I say, whenever you're called to it, it'll come to you and work with it in due timing. Allow your gifts to develop and your awareness and knowledge to develop organically and naturally. But yeah, what are the other cons?
Yes, I love that. And then next up, I wrote here, so like expectation of others. This is expected. I mean, when you're practicing spirituality, I feel like, and this kind of goes into the misconceptions as well of spirituality, but people kind of expect you to always be positive, so to speak, and kind of just blind to negativity or just know it all. You know what I mean? And you kind of touched on it earlier, like we're, especially, like under the age of 30, people who are under the age of 35, like we're still kind of like learning ourselves. We're all going to be on the path to spiritual awakening, that is curated for ourselves. And so like just being able to recognize when people are putting expectations on you, is a good practice, because that's definitely um, going to happen, and it's a con of spirituality. People are just going to have those expectations of you because you are starting to, when you start to align yourself with your true self, and you start to say certain things, or um, practice certain things that they're not used to, or that they see is a step further than where they're at, or just not align with where they are at, then they're gonna, expect you to just be this person that is always positive and just can't can't like, or is supposed to turn the other cheek, so to speak, like you spoke on earlier, because
Mm.
it's not all about turning the other cheek. I think that we should be able to like also defend ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we're going to be put in situations where like it's just inevitable. You know what I mean? And we can't find ways to fault ourselves in every situation. Sometimes things will be out of our control, and we just have to pivot and kind of just um, be like water. Kind of be fluid,
Yeah.
change direction. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, and that kind of goes into the next one too, like the expectations of self. Like you kind of have to avoid trying to be perfect in every situation, and just allow room for growth. Like I said, just be fluid. You know what I mean, so to speak. Like, don't expect, when you're getting into spirituality, that everything is going to make sense, because like I said, it's a journey of self-discovery, and it's a constant journey, and you have to be conscious. And we have a subconscious, so we're not always going to be operating in that all the time. We have to actually like make sure that we're practicing being conscious, and then over time, our mind will be able to adapt to our specific spiritual lessons that we've had to learn, and operate in that way. So, um,
I'm so sorry. My kids are beating on my door. What are you
oh,
guys doing here? I told. Oh my God. Why didn't you go to grandma's house? I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Okay. Bubba, close the door, please. Get the key out of the door. Sorry.
You're
I
totally fine.
I totally agree with you. I kind of want to touch bases on the duality aspect. And
Mhm.
Meyer, go wash your hands. I'm sorry. And close the door, please, because I can hear that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so there's the duality where there's the spiritual warriors in religion, right? We got our prayer warriors. There's a hotline some churches have where you can call and they'll be able to, help you in a time of need. And that's the thing about religion that's organized. It's not really much teaching that you can be your own warrior. And it doesn't always have to involve some
Mm-hmm.
sort of prayer. That's the way that we do it in religion, but there's other ways to get things done. And if you
Yeah.
think of a fighter, right, like we label these different groups like prayer warriors or spiritual warriors, right? The
Mm-hmm.
ones that are ordained or that have went through ceremonies and rituals that give them authority to be able to do these things. In all actuality, in other pantheons, there is a hierarchy. There's a chain of command, but that chain of command is based on how much you know. There's some kids that are born with advanced spiritual awareness, and they are powerful. If
Mm-hmm.
you guide them early, they'll be able to fight a great fight battle, because they learn how to harness their energy and they understand their energy, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just fighting on an energetic level. But as
Right.
above, so below. So when we're talking about spirituality and there is an awareness that we're fighting something, one must know that fighting comes naturally in all aspects of life, from a higher realm to a lower realm. As
Mm-hmm.
above, so below. So in higher dimensions, don't you know gods and goddesses fight in the mythologies or the oral tales in the other um, backgrounds or pantheons, the Buddhism,
Yeah.
the Hinduism, right? We got the goddess Shiva. This is a goddess that will kill you and has a bunch of arms and will mess you up. We got all these different Kali Ma, right? That's Kali Ma actually with all the arms. We have all these different ancient deities and gods, right? Goddesses. One moment. Eris, close my door and make sure Bubba gets the key. Close the door, baby. I'm sorry, that's my niece. Okay. I'm sorry.
You're
These
good.
kids. But yeah, we talk about these ancient deities and they would fight. They were fighters. And the thing about spirituality, this is more so, I don't feel like it's a con, but when we talk about spirituality, I think more it's like a misconception, right? The misconception is that, people can, we could do bad things in spirituality, or there's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. No, there's a way to do things because you
Right.
don't want to
There's
cash
order.
your millions out on a person that's divinely protected. That's like somebody coming for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a purpose here. There's a divine reason why I'm here. So if someone comes for me, they shouldn't have done that. And that's not a threat to anybody. It's a fact. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
seen what happened to people that have wronged me when I was so open and honest and kind to them. So I'm not forewarning anybody. If you want to come for me, do what you want to do. But just know there's repercussions for that because my spirit is high ranking. When
Mm-hmm.
you know thyself, you're aware that, I'm not gonna just jump in the battlefield with any and everybody. So duality teaches you that yeah, there's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and we can fight and we can go there spiritually duke it out. But you got to know who you're messing with because you could be messing with someone who is divinely protected, and their ancestors or their guides or their angels will not allow you to destroy them. Or even if you do, just know they're coming for you. And if it don't happen now, it will happen later. So you just can't mess with anybody. I'm pretty sure you have seen those experiences where it's like a timid, shy person who take the popsicles and get out. Bye. Go give your friends a popsicle. Get out. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you had friends where you seen that um, they were timid and shy, maybe insecure, and when they got picked on, bad things either happened to that person or that person completely went crazy and messed that other person up. And that's
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know what a person is rocking with spiritually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our souls could be a lot older than what we look in the physical, and have a very high rank in spirituality. I'm going to start teaching that too on the channel, so that people can understand spiritual ranking,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the power of knowing how powerful you are or where you are and being honest about it. Like, okay, I got a lot to learn, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I feel that from you too, like a old soul. Like
Everybody tells me that.
when we met, like it was just so easy to learn from you, listen to you, um and when I first was looking on your channel, I was just like, I can watch these videos, all day long. And then when we finally did the interpretation, like it was just spot on, and I really felt connected to like your approach to it all and just what you had to say and how you kind of discerned the information that you were speaking. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's super easy working with you. I feel like we mesh well. You have a very youthful spirit. You're not judgmental, like, and you know yourself. So it's like me and my ideas, you kind of cipher through them. You take what works for you and you leave the rest. And I'm glad you're not just following anything I say, because I could be crazy. Of course, I'm not. I'm just going to give that disclaimer, but I could be, and people have to know who they're working with. And I always give people that free will, right?
yeah.
Don't take everything I'm saying as ultimate truth. Just take what works for you and then leave the rest. But yeah, I think you would be a great matter of fact type teacher, meaning you're very, you give a lot of evidence. You're very evidence based. And that's what I love about the way that you present information. And even like, the initial videos you attracted to on my channel, they were all more scientific or historical. Like,
Yeah.
some people really like the evidence based research versus just like the gods and the goddesses and like, off in fairy world.
What's
Uh,
crazy though, because like in school, like history was my worst subject. I hated history. And then after I came to realize like, well, there's history that actually matters and that actually is that I kind of have a deeper connection to, because obviously the history we learned in school was whitewashed, and I didn't find any interest in anything that I was learning, and it was hard for me to remember stuff
you
that I was.
knew your spirit knew it was discrepancies,
And there
and
was holes in
our
just
spirit will
information.
tell us first, this is some bullshit.
Yeah,
Like,
like I
and but
just
then we're like, no, but rational mind kicks in, right?
yes. And now today I'm like a growing historian. Like I want to know everything, because I have the information at my fingertips, and I can look it up actually what the truth was. And I think
Yes.
that is what's important about spirituality, and like how we're kind of at the beginning of the age of Aquarius, and we're called to usher in the age of Aquarius, because you touched on how the kids are going to be wired differently, and they're just going to be able to there's going to be kids that are just have amazing gifts to just fight these spiritual battles, because I believe that it is a spiritual warfare that we're going to be fighting next.
Hmm.
It's been a physical. We've been so used to seeing like physical battles being fought in
War.
wars
Yeah, all this stuff.
over petty stuff. But now I don't know, just as humanity is advancing spiritually, we're starting to see more truth to our lives and this thing we call human condition. And it's definitely going to be a spiritual warfare that we're fighting. And those that are called to usher in, this age of Aquarius, we're going to be, helping like bring up these spiritual warriors that are soon to come. So yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of
And
got off the spirit, but
no, you're right on. Yeah, we're not on cons anymore. We're kind of just freestyling it, which I knew this would happen, right?
yeah, it's
But
okay.
we are ushering it. So I was just gonna say, like, just you being here alone, you don't realize how many people you're going to impact. So, like, there's an amazing, I love his work, past life regressor that I admire. I even had the honor of talking to. He told me I could ask him anything. Like, I was like, "Can I ask you anything about spirituality?" He was like, "Yeah, ask me anything." And I was like, "Yay!" So I don't abuse that though, you know. And I wanted to see if I would be able to even access him that way. And he's so real, right? He's located from the Bahamas, and he's his name is Astro Einstein.
Mm.
Look him up. He has Facebook page. Some are fake because, you know, it's some crazy people in the world that I don't know. They have so much time on their hands that they
I
want
know.
to create these fake pages and get money, like scamming and stuff. I hope no that never happens with universal love law. But I'm so one, like, I'm not on many platforms, so it'll be hard to try to do that. But anyways, yeah, he takes people to their Akashic records, and when
Mm.
they ask certain questions in the book of their lifetime or many lifetimes, they want to know. He'll let you see how many people you're going to impact in this lifetime. So he might, like, I've heard people say, ask like. He'll ask for them, like, how many people is this person going to impact in this lifetime? And they'll see the number and they'll be like 1,200 million. Is that million? He'd be like, keep reading it, like keep reading the number, like while they're in the hypno state, like, and they're like 50, 100,000, like, and it's crazy. Like, that was an aha moment for me because I realized, like, wow, wait a minute, I'm going to impact so many people through my channel. And I didn't know, you know, that's celebrated in the spirit realm. When you actually impact so many people for greater good, for humanity, for humanity, human rights, right? We should have universal health care. We should have no homeless people. That
No,
makes no sense.
no, no sense.
We have millionaires. We have people who are having private parties and getting flown in little private jets and multiple houses they can't even live in. Their whole family can't even live in.
Yeah.
And then there's people homeless on the side of the street. Homelessness is not a choice. I don't care what anybody say. They say, you know, like, you know, we have choices in life and we have free will, right? People that are out there, they choose to live like that. You cannot tell me someone chooses to live in humid, hot ass weather because I'm from California, you know. So homeless people come to Cali just to be homeless, you know,
Yeah.
because of the weather, right? It's not that extreme, or they'll freeze to death, you know, or
Hmm.
something, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, you can't tell me that they enjoy being in a tent when there are people who have AC. This is unhumane, and this needs to change. Like, we need better wages. We need way more income. There should be a set amount where everybody bare minimum makes enough for realistic living wages. It's
Right.
people working 2 and 3 jobs and still can't even make ends meet. And then there's people who are rich as hell. This
Sitting
is
on my.
imbalance. And so it will crumble, right? All things rise and fall. It's the law of rhythm, right? We know that all things rise and all things fall. Polarity, everything operates in duality and it has its opposites. Nothing rests. The law of rhythm states nothing rests. Look into the 7 Hermetic principles, okay? They will really teach you how to understand the energies of universal laws, which I operate my channel on universal
Mhm.
law. We do this, you know, this is all we do is talk about the energies that are going to exist before I came and after I leave.
Right.
And so yeah, I kind of went on a rant, but
It's
yeah,
okay.
it's time
Yeah.
for a change, and we're going to usher in the age of Aquarius, the humanitarians. We are not playing. Like, we are coming in, and our consciousness is doing the work. You know, we don't have
Yes.
to all go out and go meet up at one place and rally. Even though, if this platform ever gets big enough for me to do that, we're going outside of the Senate's office or somewhere, and we're all meeting at a certain time, and we're going to do human rights, no homelessness, universal health care, period.
Mhm.
We're fighting for a change. Let me get in position. My life path number is a one. I know I'm here to lead. But yeah, yeah, I could get beside myself sometimes. And you got that 27, right? Double
I do.
27 energy. So you work for the greater good, right? With people, unions, with others. And seven is the spiritualist, right? So you have that compounded number. I think we did it in your numerology. You're
Yeah.
27 being a nine, right? So that makes you actually being one of the numbers that represent completion and one who is enlightened in spirituality, right? Nine is the one that understands higher information, right? It correlates to ninth house energy, Sagittarius. Ninth house rules higher learning, education. Not third house, which is like elementary school, but ninth house, which is scholarly, right? You have
Mhm.
the energies in your numerology to be a humanitarian and to fight for the greater good of people and to have those one-on-one connections that are solid in their foundation, right? That's the two energy. Sorry, I get into numerology, I start to preach,
I was
but
trying to remember. I was like, I think I'm a life past 6. Yeah, I'm life past
yeah,
6.
which
And
makes you very compassionate, but could also
yeah,
make,
I know. I really am
but it
a
can
sympathetic
also make you
people.
be taken advantage of, right? Because of your
Yeah.
kindness by the wrong people.
That's so funny because that's
Yeah.
happened to me on multiple occasions. I had just got my refund check from college, and I was like, okay, I'm going to splurge on myself. I'm going to get my apartment together
You
because I had
deserve it, right?
a roommate who potential roommate who told me a week before college started that they weren't going to come back. So I had to find a place for myself within a week of school starting, because I thought we were going to settle on this place that we had found. No, it didn't happen. Um, and so basically, I went to
And
Target's
that's
for
not even enough time. I'm sorry to
no,
cut you off.
it wasn't
Who
because
does that?
I had to stay with a friend, good friend, for about a week or so before I found the place. So I was grateful for that. But I went
That
to
ram in
Target.
the bush.
Yes, I was so grateful. And so basically, when I got to Target, or when I was leaving Target, there was this man who kind of flagged me down as I was getting to my car, and he said that his battery had broken down or something happened. He was waiting for AAA, and he needed cash to pay them because they don't take card. And I was like, I kind of hesitated, but like I knew I was feeling um rich, so to speak. When you come into
We
it's
all
just
been there with those checks, the school
I
checks.
wasn't rich. I wasn't rich, but I felt rich. So I was like, you know what? If he gonna give me the money back, why not? Like I if I'm in the position to give, I'm gonna give. And it doesn't have to be someone that I know. And I didn't know this man. Like, it was just random, and I don't know what called him to ask me. And that actually happens a lot to me. People always are asking me for money, random people. And I'm not the richest person in the world, but I for some reason can't say no. But um anyways, I went right up to the ATM. It was right literally in the parking lot. Came back, gave him the cash, gave him my PayPal, because he said that's what he uses to pay. And my dumb self didn't wait and see if it came in. He said he sent it. I didn't double check. Um, and I never got that $100 back from him.
Oh,
Never.
but it came back tenfold. It always comes back. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, he didn't realize who he was messing with. He didn't realize that certain people you just don't do that type of stuff to. Some people deserve it, right?
Mhm,
I feel like you were caught in a situation where you were in a lesson of learning discernment, right? So
mhm.
I'm pretty sure that experience gave you red flag feelings, right?
Right.
Now, because you went through it, if you would have never been through it, you would not be able to discern if you should or should not help this person
Yeah.
in need.
I've
And then
always. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna
no,
say?
you got it.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I've just always been like not really too connected to money, so to speak. Like, I don't hold on to it because I do feel like it'll come back to me. It
Hmm.
it kind of always has.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's happened to me before where I've just given. not expecting anything back. Um,
Mhm.
but
Yes, that's how you're
yeah, the
supposed
life
to
path
live
six
freely.
with the life path six, that just makes so much sense that you said that.
Yes. Oh my
I
God. That's why I say know your numerology.
and I feel like I have a lot of interest in healing as well because I've been like learning more about um like herbalist and herbology and just kind of connecting back to natural remedies. Like I've always been really interested in integrative approaches to health and wellness. I actually
That's
have
your
a
Virgo energy, remember?
yeah, I actually have a minor in that when I went to OSU, and because they didn't have a major or anything, but I was really interested in it. I said I want to just kind of go for more than just what my major is, and so I've always kind of felt kind of distant from like like Western medicine. You know what I mean? How everything is so fast paced. You get put in like a machine. They just like clockwork. They come in and check you. There's no bedside manner. There's nothing really that they do to heal you as a person. They just kind of slap a band-aid on you and call you about your day. There is
Yeah,
a Don't get me wrong, there is a place for Western medicine, like in emergency situations or like for surgeries and stuff like that. We have
that's
it
right.
so far, and it's very impressive as human beings that what we can do.
Yeah.
But there is a deeper healing that a lot of people need, especially with these chronic illnesses. There are root causes that we aren't seeing and that we're just like not even trying to address, because people are so used to this American culture of just the silver bullet, everything happening fast, and just the quickest way to get past certain issues. So
And
I
that's where the Dr. Sabies are born, right? Because, yeah, we could say that we're not trying to change things, but the person that's born here to change things has to know that that's their purpose. And they have to commit to it 100,000% so that they could bring forth that awareness and help people. And that is not a road of riches. That's going to
no,
be a road of humility and being humble and having temperance,
yeah,
um, and not looking for the wealth and abundance and but like Billy Carson says, what woke doesn't mean broke. There's a lot of ways to be financially literate, um,
hmm
and and we're in a time where you can have multiple streams of income. There's an opportunity to make passive income. Some people search to find that trick or unlock, get the keys to those doors for for a lifetime, and they finally get it, and then they begin to put that in practice. But
hmm
people have to wake up to their purpose. And if you're pulled, for one, if you have six houses Virgo energy, or if you have Virgo energy at all dominating your chart, like you have Virgo energy in your chart, you need to get into some type of health and wellness and healing, because these are the natural healers, the holistic healers. Um, I love Virgo energies. My seventh house is in Virgo. So, um,
Yeah, I think I have four placements technically because Lilith is there too, but
yeah,
Mercury, Venus, and North Node all in
yep,
Virgo. And
yep.
you touched on the multiple streams of income. I'm like, yeah, that's my Gemini second house for sure. Like
See, see, right? I bet you're probably always thinking of a master plan,
always. I'm like, okay, hold on, let me
but it's
see.
about committing to it is the challenge,
Right. Yeah,
right?
that is the
Or
challenge.
the multiple stream of income might be a form of communication, right? Where you're able to create a platform for dialogue in the whatever kind of in the world of finance, right? These are financial communicators, right? People who
Mhm.
educate others about how to save money, working at a bank or some shit, you know?
Right.
Um, so
I actually
amazing.
do work for sort of a bank right now. That's funny.
Oh my God.
It's a personal loan company. Like we partner with multiple banks.
Oh, I'm like, you're gonna see my name go through there. You're gonna be like, oh my.
But hold on, let
See,
me
personal loans, they're sharks, but they come in handy.
yeah, it's a whole process, like the underwriting process, but. That's
Yeah.
most
But
important.
that financial literacy is going to help a lot of people, right? If you knew somebody going through a crisis, you'll be able to put them on, like, don't worry about asking your friends or family. Apply for this loan. This loan over here has 100% guarantee, or this loan
Right.
over here, you got to have this kind of credit. You're about to become have an abundance of wealth in this area that you can eventually each one teach one.
Mm,
And we all need to give the knowledge. Like, we shouldn't, it's the 21st century. It's age of Aquarius. We need to be helping each other.
there.
You know, we should not be holding each other back or trying to take away from others, or it's more money out here than a little bit for everyone to thrive. And as we tap into spirituality, we begin to become logic
Mm,
logical. Spirituality is about using your rational mind and
mhm.
then using your spiritual mind and correlating the two. It's not, all holier than thou. And, no, sometimes you got to take things in your own hands. And sometimes just praying on it ain't going to get you shit. Sometimes
Right.
you got to put the steps into practice. So,
Bible talks about that too. Faith without works is dead. There's a
there we go.
lot of
Yes.
truth in the Bible, and there's a lot of things that we should entertain, and then other things that we should leave alone, of course. But like you said,
Yeah.
like, the Aquarius energy is just so interesting, and it aligns with spirituality so well because
Hmm.
it 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 fosters sort of the mindset that we need to take when it comes to living our authentic lives while contributing to a collective, finding a way to individually connect with others and
Hmm.
progress the mind or the human
That's
condition as a
right.
whole.
Hmm.
Find a way to progress and not just be stagnant or um, instill fear in others. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the way that you just painted the picture of the age of Aquarius so philosophically. And I think I would love to have an age of Aquarius conversation with you here.
Mm.
I think, of course, we'll see what people say in the comments, but let us know. Would you like me and Jalil to talk about the age of Aquarius in depth? Uh, we like to get our talking points together. We're really good with that. Um, so if you do, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to, Jalil, my platform's open for you.
Yeah.
But for the sake of time, and I need to go see where my kids are because I don't know
Okay.
where they are. um, I want to see. Oh yeah, do you want to wrap up, or do we need to discuss anything else from this religion to spirituality discussion
We can
we
just
had?
quickly go through what other notes we have here.
Yeah, because we didn't finish the cons, right?
We
Or-
kind of did, but we didn't go through the yeah, we didn't talk about the misconceptions or what is spirituality and how spirituality is being misused today. So we can just quickly go through that if you want.
Yes,
That's
please. So we don't have to make part 15, 16, and
yeah,
17.
no worries. But yeah, like what we have here about like the misconceptions of spirituality is like it goes against the teachings of Christ and Buddha and Allah. Of course, we already talked about how spirituality is like a foundation of all these different religions that people are practicing today. So that's definitely a misconception that people may have about spirituality. Also, that is dark and evil. I think I touched on this earlier about how, spirituality came before religion, but religion was more widely accepted first before spirituality was. So that's why when people were practicing spirituality, they were being called witches or just dark magic. Like it was just seen as
Evil,
opposite of evil almost.
bad. Yeah.
So that's one thing. That's another thing. And then lastly, um, the other misconception that we have is like this spiritual aesthetic that people think exists. You know what I mean? Like spirituality does not have a look. It's not about a certain way of being that you must follow. It is simply living in your truth and accepting this conscious journey that you're on with connecting closer to your own spirit, um, while all along just accepting other people's truths and their experiences as well,
Yeah.
because we shouldn't be in trying to invalidate other people's experiences and their truths. So those are the misconceptions that we have about spirituality. Did you want to quickly touch on that, or I can get into what spirituality is?
Yeah, definitely. The misconceptions, if we did talk about how it teaches of going against the messiahs, which that's a misconception because spirituality actually kind of pushes you to explore all those backgrounds or all of those different religions, right? And the messiah is that it helps you know that you're the messiah, you're the savior, you're the hero in
Hmm.
your life. You are the main character. Spirituality will remind a person of that,
Hmm.
and that is dark and evil. And there is duality in spirituality, just like there is in religion. But the fact of the matter is, religion speaks in parables, right? It speaks in stories and fables of like people before our time. But if there's nothing new under the sun, these same characters that are deemed negative are the ones in our life now, right?
Absolutely.
So the duality exists within us as we are living in our journeys with the store man down the street or your crazy neighbor, or these are the people playing out the Bible, right? We're all playing out this spiritual experience, this physical experience, right? And
Hmm.
so the dark and evil is just a mere reflection of what our true reality is. So when we demonize it, we become holier than thou. We put ourselves on these pedestals like we know more, we're better, and that's all ego. And that's
Yes.
so far from God, right? So, or it can be depending on how it's convoluting the mind.
Hmm.
Remember, Lucifer, a high vibrational energy, right? High level, high ranking angel, right?
Angel.
Yeah, this was actually, Lucifer was a very high frequency ultraviolet energy, right? That has correlation to Venus, the morning or the evening star, the light bearer, right? So we talk about Lucifer. Lucifer was blinded by his own light, and it was by his own sheer infatuation with self and his own ego, right? That it created all these lessons, and a lot of us get blinded by our own light. We
Hmm.
get big headed, and the energy of Lucifer will enlighten you with all of these things. So it's so important to have temperance and to operate it with integrity and always know you might be smart, but there's so much more to learn. You don't know it all. We'll never know it all. Even the greatest, you could point them out where they at. They don't know it all.
Yeah.
Still so much to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and then oh yeah, I think that's it for
Yeah.
misconceptions.
For misconceptions, yeah. And then we just have what is spirituality and how spirituality is being misused today. So what is spirituality? I'll quickly just go through here what we kind of
Yeah,
like understanding that life beyond this physical realm, of course. That's kind of like
metaphysical.
what a lot of people
Right.
already understand. You can kind of gather that from the word spirituality. And
Hmm.
then to go deeper about it, there is a sense of connection to source that one is trying to achieve or foster or strengthen, so to speak. It encapsulates the universal message within religion, that the kingdom of God is within us. You know what I mean? So spirituality is basically like a foundation of what religion and all that is based on. And then lastly, like the conscious journey, and I think we talked about this plenty of time. We touched on this, like the conscious journey to just um, increase or enhance like your connection with your own spirit. That's basically what spirituality is. Making sure you're doing the work to actually learn yourself and your spirit and what you were born to do. What you were meant for.
Your
yourself,
purpose.
your purpose. So,
That's right.
mhm.
I love that. I think you summed it up well. Um, I would love to talk about the way that spirituality is being misused today. So there's
Yes.
this crazy mysticism that, people they'll take to a person that they think is so knowledgeable, and a lot of people are being exposed for being fake spiritualists. And a way that a person becomes a fake spiritualist is they go learn stuff on like Google or get a couple books, and then they proclaim themselves to be this great messiah or this great healer or this great reader, and they haven't taken the proper initiative, right? The initiation or steps. They haven't received all of those things that would ordain them as someone who can do those works. And then they have people buy things from them, and those are there's a word for them, but it's like a wolf in sheep clothing, right? And these people are everywhere today. Charlatans.
Imposter.
Yeah, they're everywhere today.
Yeah.
They just want to get you for your money. There's even people that see astrology as a science, so you learn it through studies. Long-term studies will get a person very aware of understanding astrology and being able to teach it. Um, Now, a lot of people, they're jumping in the world of astrology, and a lot of people could do that. I would still say you should invest in your education in order to be someone who can really teach something and get paid for it. You should have some type of investment in it. It shouldn't just be Google, which is what you're getting this information from. You should be in certain groups and things, right? You should be in certain classes or seminars. You should have worked or gotten a reading or interpretation, right? By a very well rounded, great reputable astrologer. But when it comes to spiritual work where they're doing divination work, a lot of people are they're false. There's false prophets too,
Yeah.
right? Even in the
I was
world
about
of
to say,
religion.
yeah, sorry. I was going to say, like, on the other end of that, you have people who actually went to school or have been taught for their spiritual beliefs and their or religious beliefs, and they are well respected, and they know how to teach the word of God, but they can still um spiritually abuse you. That's
Yes,
a way that, that basically spirituality can be misused, and
because we're
basically
human.
we're human, and in the sense, all abuse can be spiritual abuse, but in the context of like a
Yeah,
spiritual
I see what you're
place.
saying.
Yeah, but in the context of like a spiritual place, where you're, being where you're meant to like grow spiritually, you can experience spiritual abuse from people who you
Yeah,
respect, and
because
like
you're dealing with crazy people that haven't done their shadow work.
Mhm.
Imagine a preacher or a pastor that was sexually assaulted by a teenage girl when they were a kid, and they become a womanizer. We
Yeah.
see that a lot in church, right? Or they become like they don't like women. They secretly like expect the men, like have a very dark relationship with the masculine and feminine and with the woman's role and male role. Or maybe they saw their parents getting beat, their mother getting beat. What
Mhm.
if that person hasn't done the healing? They're going to be in church preaching and slipping in some very wrong comments like your wife should do this and that, and we
Yeah.
see it where they be like, what did pastor say today?
And you know what? Just to give some context to that, like, according to the National Association for Christian Recovery, it says here, like, the use of spiritual truths or biblical texts to do harm is another form of spiritual abuse, like you were saying.
See,
Like, sometimes, uh, and they give some examples here, like, sometimes battered wives are told that God wants them to be submissive to their husbands. Sometimes children who are being molested by their parents are told that God wants them to be obedient. Sometimes people quote, "Do not think of yourself more highly that you ought." You know what I mean? Um, to like suicidally depressed people. That
Yeah,
that's what they tell them. And then these are just like examples of abuse. Even if what is said is a quote from the Bible, even if submission and obedience are in the general sense virtues. So it is like the twisting of good things in order to do harm that is disturbing,
you
and
pointed
becomes
that out so
yeah.
excellent. Thank you. I'm so glad you even referenced it. See, that's why I say your form of bringing forth knowledge is so amazing. But yeah, I agree. I feel like people with great power comes great responsibility. Remember that. That is ultimate truth. And yeah, like I think a lot of people fall short because of pride. You know, pride before the fall. Then they get lost in. And when you get a lot of power, it will show your true colors. If you have things you have not dealt with, you will be exposed. It will come to the light through your teaching and through your message because your ego becomes to come out when you're when people are looking at you learning and like yeah
Mhm,
praising you or your word, and then you begin to show who you really are. So you know it doesn't take long for a person to reveal who they truly are
mhm,
with time. That's why I say sit back and watch. Don't be a fan of anybody, you know, until you've watched them for a good enough time. And then people lose their way along. Like sometimes it could be 15 years they were on the straight and narrow, and then one thing just send them into a downward spiral. Well, it was always there.
mhm.
It's just they were doing a very good job disguising it,
Yeah.
you know, and so just don't trust nobody, you know. Have care and all those things in your heart for people, but just remember humans, we come with flaws. You know, we're not perfect and we deify each other. Sometimes when we see how great a person is, their family, their home, everything, we're like, oh my God, this person is awesome. And then we become heartbroken because we put them on that pedestal,
Yeah.
you know. And then we see a lot of spiritual leaders today being exposed for all kind of crazy allegations that are becoming, you know, that are true. And it's
Mm.
like, you know, people have die-hard followers that will kill a person for their leader. It's
This is
crazy.
the age of Aquarius, breaking down these old traditions and pushing through new ways of thinking in the
Yes.
world. You know what I mean? Like it's time and it's happening. You can't stop it.
Mm-mm.
You really
Just
can't.
our work today, right? You know, everything, you know, right now we're going to be getting paid in energy. So what you put out there, you're going to get back. And so you just committing time to educating the platform. Yeah, we not might not have a lot of people in the live, but this video will go up and be up, excuse me, and people will be able to learn from this
Mhm.
for however YouTube exists. You know, they'll be able to see and learn from this and create an identity for themselves
Yeah.
when it comes to why they are choosing to be religious or why they are choosing to be spiritual. And they
Spiritual.
can make it make sense and not see any other thing as an opposition because we realize that it's just the path you chose. There's
Mhm.
no right or wrong as long as you're finding your path to salvation, which is your inner heaven, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Is there any more of the it was
Um.
not misconceptions, but the
No. Yeah.
overall.
The misuse. We only had two. So like the
Oh, the misuse.
yeah. We talked about like the trending, of course, how it's becoming more.
Yeah, and how it's trending. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God. People like, I don't know, like some people they just love decorating their selves or their homes with all these crystals and things. But that doesn't make you really spiritual. Like, are you doing the work? Like,
Right.
I know a lot of people that have these crystals that don't even know what kind of crystal it is. Or
Right.
they don't even know the correlation all the way around. Like what chakra is it related to? What elements from the periodic table created it?
Right.
Where did this crystal come from? Like the
Mhm.
geographical location. That doesn't matter because it's for your crown chakra. And make it make sense. Like you gotta
Right.
know. And I don't know where all my I don't know where all my crystals come from, but you definitely won't see me you know, worshiping a rock.
No.
But I do know some of them are very powerful and they definitely can advance you in states of meditation,
Mm,
protection, and they bring an energy. They have different elements. And so I think that when you're aware of how to use them and you're really into it, I respect that. But right now we are like a lot of people in the world are fake spiritual. They'll
yeah.
wear an ankh and don't even know the ankh symbolizes the mother, the father, and the child, right?
Hmm.
Or the masculine and feminine coming together to procreate. They don't
Hmm.
understand that. Another thing with the cross, it was originated from the ankh, is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or Holy Spirit. And
Hmm.
that correlates to the patriarchal outlook from organized religion. They did not like matriarchal beliefs. But in spirituality, it's taught that everything is ushered in through the feminine energy, and the feminine energy is honored in all ancient societies. Ancient Kemet, um, there was the feminine rulership. It was understanding that there was the mother, the father, and the child, not the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's when we deify or when we put the masculine over the feminine, it becomes imbalanced. The law of gender is an ancient hermetic law. It's a universal law. There's gender in everything. There's masculine and feminine in all
And it,
people.
yeah.
We have to really see things, clearly.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
yeah,
just to like touch on that last point or our
yeah,
last point about
yeah.
training, like it's not to say that what the path you choose to become more spiritual is wrong. It's just the fact that when you are not authentically approaching it, then it becomes a challenge for you. You shouldn't be jumping on the next trend. You know what I mean? You shouldn't just be going
Yeah.
buy crystals if you haven't done the inner work to understand yourself first, or to even understand, like you said, what those crystals even mean and how to properly use them. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely heard about crystals, but I have yet to go buy one myself because I haven't even immersed myself in that information to properly start using crystals, so to speak. So
Mhm.
I definitely think that is a common misuse.
But
Just
you're an honest person on your journey. And I think that's why we attract it. Because I attract people that are humble. Yeah, I can't even tell you how many people I've reached, or not just humble, because you look up the word humble, you'll be shocked. It's a really weakening. It's really originated from the slave masters, from the
mm,
ones in like controlling the small group.
oh,
But
interesting.
yeah, you should look up that definition when we get off. But yeah, what was I saying?
Humble or
Oh yeah, a lot of people. I've reached out to people that have like platforms that already have over 1,000 subscribers, and everyone was like, "No, it's not the right time. Sorry," or didn't respond back. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like my little feelings were. I'm like, "I know what you guys are talking about." I said, you got to build your own platform and just build it, and maybe they'll come across you and see like, oh, she does know what she's talking about.
right.
But yeah, sometimes people look at numbers, or sometimes people look at like who you know or how much work you've put out there for them
Mhm.
to judge whether or not they'll give you a chance. But that's
Yeah.
why I'm opening my platform to people I've worked with to discuss things on a spiritual level, because
Mhm.
these people found me in my beginning stages when it was nothing but my authentic self. So as I grow, people will see me as the whatever they create me to be. That's great. But in the beginning, originally, I'm just this is my true nature,
Mhm.
right? So I think we attract to each other because we are literally on our paths, learning, students and teachers, right? Like I feel like I'm forever going to be a student no matter how much I teach.
Mhm.
Eventually, I hope to be a master teacher of astrology, or but or metaphysical science, but that require a lot my whole lifetime, right? So as long as I'm never going to lose sight of what I started this for.
Hmm.
And as long as I operate with that in me, in my heart, I will always attract genuine people on their journey. You
Hmm.
know, not people who want attention and fame. And I don't even want a large following. I'm cool with the people that
Right.
are really meant for me, you know? Like, yeah, but
I
yeah.
get that a lot, and actually, I think that was one of the first things that drew me to your channel. I didn't even think I was looking at like the numbers or anything. I was just looking at my chart, trying to understand astrology more, and I think
Mm.
I came across a video that wasn't about astrology. It was about the ages, or it was a deeper meaning, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
this is different. Like this is a different approach to spirituality because there's a connection there between astrology and spirituality. And so like I think
Absolutely.
that's what I appreciated about your channel is that you weren't just like tunnel vision on astrology. Like you actually wanted to expand the true knowledge that is available out there, and
Hmm.
you were able to break down, other concepts that aren't always talked about. You know what I mean? And so, of course, I watched your astrology videos on like the stelliums and stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
what I really loved was like how you broke down the ages and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
opened up my mind to learn more truth about like historical fact and how
Yes.
there's everything is connected. This circle of life that we're going through. So
That's right. I'm
yeah.
so glad that you just said everything that I really want the channel to be about, a deeper learning. Like astrology is vast in its teachings.
Mhm.
So we need to really become true, like true on our path and discovering and not just be like parrots. Like, yeah, I'm a this rising and this moon, but oh,
Right.
do you know what age we're in? What? No. Like,
Right.
how do you
Okay.
not understand astrology, but you're claiming the characteristics? It's so much more to learn. Like,
Yeah, I'm seeing
I
like
don't half step it.
there's
Yeah.
more backlash on like sun sign astrology because people are saying, well, no, we need to look more at like our rising sign. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's kind of more important because it lays out the map of our whole chart. And
Yes.
this whole sun sign astrology came from like horoscopes. You know what I mean? Like people
Yeah.
becoming bloggers and just like making money off of like these generalizations that they're making on, oh,
Yeah.
the sun in Leo, this is going to happen to you today, or you're going
And
to
that's
experience this.
far
And
from the truth.
right, like, there's more to it than just like your sun sign. Like you said, you're more than just your sun sign, and there's more than just your chart as well. Like your chart connects you to a higher power. Like it gives you sort of like a visual or a snapshot of the time you were born, and then you can use that as a jumpstart to look at your life in a more broader perspective. You
In
know what I mean?
all areas of life, right?
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
could really put it into perspective.
Yeah.
Then, like, we're working on understanding the transits, right? So, like,
Yes.
to see what planets are transiting your personal houses, to see why am I going through this in my financial life, or why am I
Hmm.
going through this in my relationship with others. We might have some crazy squares happening with outer planets in this moment, right? So it's a whole science, you
And you
know.
know what? And it's been gatekept for far too long. You know what I mean? Because as
Yeah.
much as it was deemed a dark practice, there were people who were deeply religious or just in higher power who used astrologers
Oh, yeah.
to help them,
Absolutely.
with a vast majority, like a vast of problems, like going to war or like medicine, like astrology or astrologers were used. And even though like I just felt like it was gatekept for far too long, and
I'm
now
pretty sure all millionaire, billionaires, and even like very rich, wealthy people have astrologer on their payroll.
they're tapped in. Yeah.
Definitely, and a spiritualist, a psychic. They have all these type of metaphysical kind of teachers in their pocket.
Right.
Because they know that they have an upper hand with being aware of that. And
Hmm.
they probably are so in their business world that they have the money to have people interpret it for them. They don't
Exactly.
have to do the work. Good thing I love to do the work, and I'm like a real nerd for this stuff. Proud nerd, right?
Yeah.
But it's people that they value it so much, and they know there's truth to it, but they don't have the patience to look into studying the chart and
No.
seeing, so they got somebody on payroll to do that.
But just imagine, once this becomes more of a widely accepted thing, how much power we will all have, and not just it won't be such an imbalance anymore in power once we all
Yeah,
realize.
where you won't be labeled as like the weirdo, like,
Right.
'cause if I tell people I know astrology, do you know people are like, they like, I got people that automatically will disagree with. I'll be like, oh, if you ever want to chart, I could do it for you. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, but what's your sun sign? And then they'll tell me, and I'm like, oh, and I'll say something that you wouldn't find online about that
Hmm.
sign, and they'll be like, no, not really. Like, just, I'm like, okay, you can have it.
Right. You know how they are.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. But I know when a person's lying. I'm a human lie detector. Like, I'm an eighth house Scorpio stellium. So you can't
See,
lie to me. But I let him. I'm like, okay. No,
that's so
but
funny.
yeah. This was awesome,
This
Jalil.
is really good. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do this and that I went for it and that we were able to have this open discussion. I think that we talked about a lot of important things, and I definitely look forward to our next conversation. I do see, yeah, Monik M definitely is all about the age of Aquarius, wants us to discuss that. So I'm definitely down. Is there any like last comments, or did you want to end it with
I
anything?
think I'm good to go. I have like 6 kids outside running around. I need to go find one's in here, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go, but I'm
Absolutely.
pretty good. I want to definitely. We already got a yes. If you want to come back, maybe we can meet after. Is like I could email you and see. Maybe we can meet and create a talking point for a great live on the Age of Aquarius, because that is one of your fortes. Like, you are really good at painting clear pictures of what we're here to usher in, and I love that. So yeah, and hopefully it gives you that push to create your own channel, because you should. Very you're very stern teacher. Like, you're into facts. You're not just into repeating what you heard. You like to do the research, and we
Right.
need more dedicated realists, in this YouTube community, um, that are not looking for cloud or like popularity or nothing, So yeah, hopefully that comes in the future. But thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
all of you guys, thank you so much, Monique. You are awesome. You are always
Yes.
in the comments. Thank you for your feedback, and thank you for thanking us and for being here. So yeah, I can't wait to look at the recap. I'll email you after this, okay, Jalil, so we could get our next video and on the calendar.
Yes. Get it on the docket. I'll be ready.
Awesome. Well, you have a great rest of your day. Take care of your little one, okay? And
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to you soon. Thank you
Yes.
so much for tuning in to Universal Love. That was so much fun.